now I think it's a matter of making a real huge impact in your industry.
All right, so welcome everyone. I am happy to be joined by Joey, who is a seven-figure agency owner. He's been crushing it with the financial advisors and helping them scale. And today, in the episode of Leaders Building Brands, we want to explore how Joey has been building his business. I've been following him for a while, seeing how he's building the systems and his values and how he's delivering for clients. So, welcome Joey to the show, and I'm glad to be here with you.
Yes, sir, man. Very excited to be here. Very excited to share with other people. Hopefully, can get a thing or two out of that. So, yeah, very excited to be here.
Yeah, so Joey, you've been very successful. We've been following each other and in the same circles, but I really admire how you've transitioned and continued to scale and iterate and transform your business. And how has it been, especially going from when you started out, when you were you
Yeah.
and Pavel, to having like a huge team, to then shifting your offer, delivering even more value to clients, building an even more scalable model? How has that journey been to you, and how do you feel you've changed through it?
My God, man. Like, if you would tell me, like, right now, like, if you would meet me 3 years ago and tell me, like, this would be me right now, that business with that offer, with that thing, I would never believe you. The amount of things that change that you just can't know when you start is just crazy to me. So, I mean, it's a process. Like, I remember when I first watched, like, YouTube videos, an entrepreneur was like, made my first 100K per month. And they asked him, like, how did you do that? I just figured out things on the fly. That's what he said. I was like, oh my God, like how you're not figure out things on the fly, but like now I get it. Like it's just there's things that you can just not predict and that you just see a problem, you overcome it, comes another problem, you overcome it. And over the time, you just happen to become a better version of yourself. And when you're a better version of yourself, you just create better things, a better team, better products. And that's just how it is. So it's been crazy, a crazy journey for sure.
Yeah, and tell us a bit about the beginning story. Like, how did this all start? You and Pavel, how was that at the beginning?
Yeah, no, it's a good question. So basically, we started our first like business venture was in 2020. We were both starting our first session university, and I was going to be in med school, and Pavel was going to be an engineer in Montreal. And it was during COVID, so it was all like by Zoom, and I was like, "Yeah, fuck that! I'm not going to spend 10 years doing that, and just to have a fixed salary because it was the typical way to success. Like I know that if I know the process, if I did it, I'm gonna have success, right? And then that's where I stumbled around books and around entrepreneur, about online business. I'm like, okay, let me dig into that and see if I can do something about that. So one day I was talking with Pavel. We were just working at the same job, go to school together. We're not that good friends, and we're like, look, people are like younger than us making millions online. Like, why not us? So we started looking at YouTube videos. We started a Amazon FBA, so that was the first thing we started. That was our first like kind of test. I mean, it was good, but we were not entrepreneur at that time at all. We were like 20. Pavel was 19, and we started that. And it was COVID, so our we ordered stuff from China, right? Which never came. So we're like, okay, we need to find another idea. So that's when I stumbled across Iman Gadzi, right? Iman Gad. So I started looking at all of his videos, literally all of them when I was at work. And I started implementing what he was teaching, the SMMA model, the social media marketing agency. So like, okay, let me learn Facebook ads, let me learn this. And we just like built on YouTube, literally. So Pavel and I were just doing the same thing. We're watching YouTube, making a little plan. Like, okay, your dad owns a epoxy business, right? A garage floor business. So let me see if we can add value to him. So like, oh yeah, so he's always looking for new clients. I'm like, okay, well we know that Facebook ad thing works. So like, why don't we try it on your dad? So we came up with like a full proposal for our first client. Like we wanted to close him so bad, and we happened to close him. Like our first sales call, we happened to close his dad for like 12, and like he didn't do it because it was the dad of Pavel. Like he literally saw the value in it. So we said, don't come because it's your son, right? Come because you see value. And we closed him on like a $1,200 a month retainer. And honestly, when I got the payment, I was like, oh my God, like this is crazy. This work. Like I don't have to work anymore, and I can just learn a skill and apply it. And then We just stumbled across a bunch of different niche, so construction and stuff like that, doing Facebook ads to get clients, e-commerce, coaches, and all that stuff. So we tried a lot, and then we stumbled across a financial advisor where we helped him the same thing with Facebook ads, getting leads, and it worked better than anyone else. So we're like, okay, let's niche down, right? So that's what Iman always said. Let's and by the way, we didn't take any course at that time. We just like literally YouTube all that time, YouTube books, and like okay, let's focus financial advising. And once we did that, we went from like 2 or 3K per month to 10K per month by just niching down to one niche with financial advisors in Quebec, right? And then we were doing the retainer, so we were stuck at like a certain amount of clients at 10K per month. And then we met a good friend of mine, which is not a good friend of mine. He was crushing it in the real estate space in Quebec. Shout out William Fontaine, yeah. So I always say that story. He literally changed our life by showing us his model. So he was doing the pay per lead model for realtors. So instead of charging per month, they were charging a number of leads. So people, if they needed more leads, they could just buy more leads, right? So you can collect a lot more money up front. And once we switched that model, we went from 10 to 100K in 4 months, literally revenue, by the way. So that's not profit, but yeah. And now fast forward to where we now transitioned again to from the paper lead to the coaching model, which we were able now to turn that 100K revenue to 100K profit, right? Because it's a lot higher profit, which is the next level to that. So I think there's certain levels that you just go on that you never know that you actually can, that you never knew that you were going to go there, but it just brings you to some places as you go with the flow, as you level up yourself. And you just found out that you're always going to go to the best place, depending on where your skills at. Well, we can never start where we are right now, right? So it was a nice little journey. We're still at the beginning of everything, but very enjoying myself. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a fascinating journey, and shout out to Will, who's been like a
Yeah. Of
mentor to a few of us, and
course.
such a it's so important to have these friends that invest in you and that share with you just to help you level up in this one area of your life, and be surrounded by a crew of guys that like we know that is just so supportive in so many dimensions. So
100%.
how was especially the growth? Like your team grew a lot. You were growing with the PPL model. You were growing to a big team. How did it grow? Like what were your first hires? But also, how did it continue to evolve, and the problems and the bottlenecks you had with that?
Yeah, so I think right now we don't have that much of a big team. I'd say pretty much average. We're at about 15 people total, which is pretty good. It's a decent size, but not as big as it needs to be right now. But it's perfect. It's perfect how it is. But our first ever hire, before it was me and Pavel, we were doing both everything at the same time. The first step, right, was separating our stuff, separating our task or skill set, because that's one of the advice that Will told us when he came to us. We were both. I was taking sales calls. Pavel was taking sales calls. We did marketing. He was doing the marketing. So we were both pretty average at everything, but not good at anything. Okay. So the first step was to when I was with my partner was to separate our skill set. So Pavel was naturally better in sales. So he just took that route. And honestly, I was not good at marketing at all. I didn't know anything about that, but I'm like, someone has to do it. So let me learn that. And I just became pretty good at it after that. So that was fun there. And that was the first step. So if you're two in the business, the first advice I would give is just separate your skill set. And then the next hire was just the next the next thing that took us the most time, right? I think that's always how you need to see the next hire. Like where are you like auditing your time and see where are you spending your most time, and if that can be delegated. If yes, then you got your next hire. So for me, I was doing LinkedIn outreach all day, right? So like, oh my god, it takes so long. But what I did is instead of doing it by myself, I took a day off and just literally documented everything that I did for LinkedIn in an SOP, a standard operating procedure, in a Google Doc. And I hired someone at that time. It was someone from like Africa at like $3 or $4 a day that could literally do step by step what I said. So it was kind of like a robot. Like I gave him a manual, and you do that. That's it, right? And this liberated me like 4 to 5 hours a day that I could then either acquire a new skill or focus on other stuff. So that was our first hire there, and then we make many more VAs hire when we were first started. But now, like in the growth consultant model, we cannot afford to have those kind of people with us, like VAs. We need to have like really skilled people, which is a different kind of hiring process, which is pretty interesting as we grow there. But yeah, it's just knowing where you can spend your most time, delegating it, and spending on acquiring more revenue generating skills. If that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And you guys scaled so fast. I mean, how did you scale so fast? Was it through LinkedIn? Was it through Facebook ads? How did you?
Um, I mean, we the first thing we did is when we went from our 10 to 100K, like, of course, it might sound like it fast, right? Like it was in 4 months, it fast, but you don't count like the year or the year and a half before that we were just putting all those foundations in place and just going at it, trying to scale, missing it, going to scale, missing it, going to scale, and then missing it again, right? You only see like the overnight success, like Amrosi always say, it's not really overnight because you don't see the years and the months before where we're putting all the foundations in place so we were ready for that opportunity. So that's just a side note there, but it was for us, it was when we decided to focus at that time only in French in the Quebec market, and we just went just LinkedIn, literally just LinkedIn at that time, and we were just selling leads. Everyone wanted leads at that time, so now it's a bit different, but that's like at that time everyone wanted it, and we started in January, beginning of the year. So like it was crazy. We're selling like hotcakes, like 100K per month. We would never realize that we could actually. Our goal was to do that in the year, and we did it in 4 months, massively because of Will's help, that he was doing it in the real estate. So that was the main reason. But it's not that quick, if that makes sense, right? It took a lot of foundations, and it sounds like it's quick, but not that much.
I totally agree. And a lot of times, especially when you get started as an agency owner, um, you think that it's going to be so quick, and in 90 days, you're going to explode, and it's all these wrong expectations. And I feel that holds a lot of people back. They,
Yeah.
because they have the wrong expectations, they think they failed, and then they give up. But in the fact, like the true facts is that often we see the highlight reels of
Yeah.
people, and you've just got to do a lot of deep work, foundational work before you can scale to those numbers.
The boring stuff. Like it's something that I realize now that I wish I've realized later, that I'm gonna get wherever I want to get. Like that's a no brainer for me. I know I'm gonna get there. I'm going to get to my goals. But is it gonna take a year? It's gonna take a month. It's gonna take 5 years, 10 years. Like what else do I have? Like what's my alternative? Like there's no alternative. Like I'm not gonna go get a job. Like I'm not gonna go back to school. So like would you rather back go like reach your goal in 3 months, and if you don't have it you go back to school or go back to work, or wait 2 years maybe to reach your goal but still be on that journey and grinding and enjoying every single day, right? So expanding your horizons and expanding your timeline will make you move you're making, which I think is very beneficial in this space.
Yeah, absolutely. And tell us a bit more about that, planning long term, and having this long term philosophy instead of the churn and burn agency.
Yeah.
Like, how do you personally plan for that kind of stuff? Do you have a long term vision? How long term is your vision, and how do you
Yeah.
plan that for yourself?
No, that's a very good question. And I think I didn't have that when I started. And I think it's normal for you not to have that when you start. Like my first, like just to give context, right now we're on our second and a half year of business, right? Second year, second and a half. And my first year was just like I wanted to get money. That's it. I want to get money, get out of my parents' house, live on my own, right? Be able to buy a coffee if I went to Starbucks, being good like that. That was my first motivation. So at that time, when that's your only motivation, all you care about is getting a quick buck, getting quick money, fast as possible. So you don't have the long term vision, right? But I think once you satisfy, like right now, of course, I'm not satisfied with how much money I'm making. Of course, I want to always make more. But once you those basic needs that are covered, like you don't need to depend on your mom, on your dad, or anyone, right, to do whatever, like have your own apartment, stuff like that. When you have your basic needs covered, um, it's now I think it's a matter of making a real huge impact in your industry, right? And I don't think it's possible for you to have like 5 industries and try to have an impact in all 5 industries, right? So that's when we actually focused on advisors. I think it's only like this year that I shook hands with my partner and said like, we're here for a decade, right? No matter what happens, we're here for 10 years, and our goal is to get to nine figures, right, minimum, and make a dent in that industry, right? Like our big vision is to disrupt the financial service industry. Like that's not a vision you can accomplish in a year or 2 years. We know it takes like a decade to do so, and that's also due to Hermosi and Bet David that talks about that. Bet David, when he first started in the insurance industry, he said like I'm in it for 20 years, right? 20 years, and he was in it for 20 years. He sold for like 300 million, right? Now he's in the media business, and he said I'm here for 20 years as well, right? So it's just play with your decision. Instead of chasing the quick buck, you can make bigger plans so that you can collect a lot more with delayed gratification, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I wanted to ask you, especially I was thinking about Bet David and Hormozy, who are the people who inspired you the most as you were growing your agency and who helped you really change your mindset?
So yeah, at first, the first person was definitely Iman Gadzhi. Definitely, like I just admired him so much when he used to document like all of his life since he was 15, when he was broke, to his vision. A lot like now that he has a lot of success, a lot of people know him like who he is right now with like the Rolls Royce in Dubai, being super rich. So people, you kind of have like a like, bad connotation for most people because they don't know his story. But like I remember watching him when he had less than 100K subscriber on YouTube, when he was like grinding and having his content agency like 3 years ago, which now like because he's also my age, like he's like 20 or 25 days older than me. So I'm like, fuck, man, this guy is my age. He's accomplishing so much. Like I can do it 100%. Like if someone else can do it, especially my age, like I can do it. I can 100% do it. So just having that as a goal and just seeing him go, watching his YouTube videos. So at first, 100, he still is, but now I admire more people like that David and Hermosi. But of course, Iman is still in the picture. But at first was really like that, being someone my age, crushing it, following his footsteps, and now being able to say like I've made a good amount of money with those like free nuggets that he was giving on YouTube is just very amazing to me, and it shows that we're in a really good sign in this world that we can have access to all this information and grow a business from YouTube. Right? It's crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. That's we definitely see that firsthand with our clients. Just
Yeah.
the power of these videos and how it can influence a great number of people in a network, and it can inspire, and it's just wonderful what you can do nowadays. And
Yeah.
what specifically did you learn from Hormozy and Bet David that really changed your deeper philosophy about
Hmm.
how you build?
That's a very good question. You're a very good podcaster. I like that, man. Very good. But I'd say, honestly, the long-term vision. I think that's I keep saying that, but that really what changed our minds. Like Hermosi, how long-term he thinks, and Bet David, how long-term he thinks. And especially Bet David, I think I have a little more respect for Bet David because he's in my industry. So he really he's literally the type of he's in the same industry as us, so he sold his insurance company. So I think that was thinking long term, and also just the commitment that they have to their industry and to their work, right? So a lot of people are preaching for like work life balance and stuff like that, and these guys, they don't have work life balance. It doesn't exist, right? They work and just life happens, right? That's something that really hit me. Like when you see those two guys, they all live for their work, right? Which is something like I know you're also a lot into masculinity books and stuff like that. So Hard Times Create Strong Men. I'm sure you know that book. Like a man live for his work. As soon as he stops working, he stops being a man, right? He stops losing his masculinity, his drive. So, and this is, I think, a big reason why they've achieved so much is having this work and this passion for work, and just like building their lifestyle around their work, right? And not building their work around their lifestyle, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And talking about that, you know, you're someone who's very organized. You've shared some videos in the past that I really appreciated about how you organize your week and everything when you have meetings on certain days.
Mhm.
How does your routine look like right now as you're scaling? You know, you're at a high level, but what does your daily routine, weekly routine look like right now?
I think that's always a something that's changing. Honestly, like it's always something that I can always improve. I can always be more disciplined. I can always wake up more on time, and and stuff like that. But I think that you need to have non-negotiables that just cannot be shaken from you, right? No matter what you do. So, like for me, and I think for a lot of people in our circle, it's definitely the gym, like working out. Like if you're not working out, if I'm not working out like for 2 days straight, like I feel bad. I feel bad. Like it's more for the mindset than just for being big. Like I'm not that big, it's just for the mindset and just for improving yourself and building yourself. So that's one. And also for the type of responsibilities that I have in my business, I have to do a lot of deep work, right? So I don't have to take that much calls. So for me, my mornings, like it's always sacred for me. So and right now it's hard because I'm working in my time zone. So it's going to be very nice in Dubai because I'm going to be completely free. I'm going to be wake up. You guys are going to be the middle of the night, so it's going to be good. But right now, like from I have my success team meeting at 9 a.m. Right, so I wake up at 6 to 9. I do my first deep work block. Right, I got my morning coffee. I read a couple 10 minutes, right, a couple pages. Then I go straight to work. I got an hour 30, 2 hours of deep work plan, and I try to plan my day the day before as well. And I got my success team meeting, and then I got until 12 where it's deep blocks again. So this when I control my morning, then I'm good, right? I know I do all my work, and then after that, in the afternoon, it's more some meetings and stuff, and people that things are being thrown at me, fires I need to extinguish, and I do that, and then at the end of the day, six p.m. just go to the gym, and I call it a day, plan my day, and I just go up the next day and do that. So I think you cannot be too strict. Lyra talks a lot about that. You cannot be too strict with your routine. Have flexible, but control certain aspects. So your morning routine and your night routine, and in the day there's going to be chaos. You cannot. So if you're being thrown off your routine and just throw off your whole day, then it's bad. It's not going to help you. It's just not a routine that serves you, right? So I think it always changes.
Yeah, absolutely. But I really like seeing how you think of it on a macro scale and how you organize that deep work. Because sometimes, we believe that we need to be very regimented in our routine. But as you said, as entrepreneurs, we have to extinguish fires. There are things thrown at us that we need to handle. And so I like your philosophy, which is strict but flexible.
Yeah.
Um, and when you do your deep work, for example, how do you really go about that? Because there are different levels of thinking, there are different things that we do. How do you personally do it? And what has it been like recently doing your deep work? What are you working on?
I mean, it's an ongoing progress, like anything. I'm far from being perfect at it. There's a lot of people like better than me at it. I think Iman is very good at it, or Muzi as well. They're very good at it. So that's something I'm still trying to figure out. But I think that if you can have like 4 hours of deep work, like when I'm talking deep work, it's like no phone, right? No notifications. You got some. I like to put my. I got some noise canceling headphones that I put on with like binaural beats where I'm like focused in the zone, no nothing, and I'm working on like three main things. That's it. So what I do is I just put three main things that I want to accomplish. All right, so I gotta put this hiring funnel up, or I gotta record those kinds of videos for the new course or stuff like that, and I just do that. And my goal is to accomplish these three things. So that if I have to finish my day, and if there's like 100 fires right after that, then I'm good because I still did the needle moving activity. I think it depends a lot on your role. I think a lot of you're saying are founders, right, that are listening to this podcast. So a lot of you guys are. I'm so lucky that I have Pavel, which is the other co-founder, which is only doing sales. So I don't have to focus on taking calls and taking sales calls and stuff like that. I'm more the CEO, so I take care of all operations and it's more deep work stuff. So for me, Pavel couldn't have that routine because he wakes up at like 8, he has the sales team meeting, builds sales funnels, and then he takes like 15 calls in the day and all that stuff. So for me, if you're doing more operations work and systems work, having that at least minimum 4 hours of no distraction, like a coffee, you got water, you got your noise canceling headphones, and you're just working on three main things. I think this can have a huge impact in after weeks and months of doing this.
Yeah, yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, and just locking in three things. Sometimes we have a massive list, but just
Yeah.
focusing on these most important things. And how do you come about finding those three things? Like, do you
Yeah.
think, what's the next bottleneck? How do you go about identifying the top three and saying, I won't do what I want to do, I'll do what I need to do?
Yeah, that's hard. That's hard. One thing that have really served me, that I've started to push away like in the last month, but I started to get back at it. The last year, I mean, I started to get back at it in the last month is really journaling, right? And it might sound like stupid or like woo woo journaling stuff like that, but honestly, I'm so happy that I have it with me. Like it's since I started in 2020, I have all my thoughts there, and I can go back and read what I think. So like in the morning, and like again, it's flexible, right? It's not a non-negotiable for me. It's just when I feel like I really need to write down, like I don't know what are my next big things, I just take a coffee, go on the balcony, and just write, write whatever's on my mind, like what are the next steps and stuff like that. So I think this really helps you find what are the next steps. And yeah, so I think like just clarifying it with your words, with your written stuff really helps. If not, it's just to always have your goals right next to you. And okay, like what's missing between where you are right now and your goals, right? You need an extra team player, do you need an extra that, an extra funnel, an extra system, right? And see, okay, what do I have to build in order to close the gap of where you are in your goals. So I think having those like 30-minute thinking time, an hour thinking time, like once or twice or three times a week, helps you find that stuff. And it comes natural that every single night you're just going, okay, these are the three things I'm going to do tomorrow. And you actually go and do it. Right.
Yeah, absolutely. I can see that.
Mm.
I had a question for you, especially in regards because you've invested a lot in yourself, and I can see that with your videos, your philosophy is really around in your videos. It's about investing in yourself because that's the highest ROI activity you can have. So you've invested in mentors previously and that kind of stuff. What is like the best or the few best that come to mind pieces of advice that you've taken from mentors?
Yeah, that's a very good question, and there's a lot. So, I mean, honestly, my best mentors, I've never paid for them. It's been YouTube and books, like literally. Like Iman, I've never paid for any course of Iman. Right? I might have had a couple courses here and there, but from friends and stuff like that. But I've never paid. But I've got so much value from his YouTube channel and it's stuff like that. And even Hormozy and Bet David, like I've read Bet David's book, Hormozy's book, and stuff like that. Um, so just investing, I think, not maybe not necessarily in terms of money, but in terms of time. So having investing time in yourself. So having like a 1 or 2 hour of learning, of reading a book, of just watching YouTube or educating stuff on YouTube, right? So of course we've invested almost 100K on just mentors and stuff like that. But honestly, like I've got more value from the non-paid mentors that I had, and just maybe books, maybe that counts as paid, or YouTube videos and stuff like that, than the paid mentors that we have. So in terms of, I couldn't say like one advice that literally like very changed my mind. It's just like a bunch of being like overflown by their presence, by their character. You start to embody the best of everyone, like Ravi or Mosey, Iman, and stuff like Bet David. So you take like whatever resembles the most your current personality, in which like who you actually want to become, because you don't want to become exactly like Mosey. You don't want to become exactly like Iman. You want the best of everyone that fits your personality, and just create your own persona with that, right? So that would be my answer to that.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's so funny because, you know, in certain terms, sometimes you don't necessarily get access to these leaders, but you can get it through these videos, through everything, and it can change your life, really.
100%.
So building that, content and all of that, is that something that you guys are looking into more? I saw you were producing a lot of videos. What is your game plan for when it comes to building your personal brands? Is that something that you think is going to be important for business owners in the next few years?
You mean building a personal brand?
Yeah.
Oh, 100%. I think that this is the number one thing that but you need to start. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you need to start doing that, like, of course, as quick as possible. But when you start doing that, you cannot think about the quick ROI right now, right? It has to be something long term. So for us, we've been doing content for like not that long, for like 3-4 months maybe, and it's not tangible right now. Like maybe it's our tracking stuff that are not that good in terms of tracking that, but that's okay because we know it's long term, and we're just the surface of it, right? Of course, we want to get to a point like you need to create entertainment content. Like once again, I'm going to go back again to Iman. Look, Iman's videos, like it's literally Netflix movies on YouTube. Like the type of producing that happens, and that's exactly why he went from 100K to 2.5 million in a year and a half. It's because he's entertaining people with value, like Valuetainment, the channel of Bet David. So I think it's like it's vital for any founder to document their life. I think like what Ormozi is saying is always like, I'm kind of pissed that Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, and Warren Buffett did not document their way to $1 billion. So that's why I'm doing it for me. So I know he says that a couple of times, and I think that's genius. Like imagine like yourself, you're in 20 years from now, you're going to be 40, 50, 60 years old, and you're gonna be able to look back at 20-year-old yourself trying to build your business, trying to get your first $1 million. Like how cool that's gonna be, right? So I think we live in such an interesting world with such interesting tools that allows us to get money, of course, but document our life. Like if it's not for the money, do it for yourself, do it for your future family, for your future audience, which is going to be, you never know how that can serve you, and an audience always stays with you. If ever your business shuts down tomorrow, you can always use the same audience for another thing, right? So the audience is the hardest thing to have, but is the most powerful thing to have. I think to have eyeballs and attention, especially these days in our economy.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially as we're transitioning to an economy where it's like faceless brands versus personal brands, people
Yeah,
like to trust individuals much more. And I want to come back to Iman because he seems to be really a great inspiration for you. You've
yeah,
also done a big move following Iman, moving to Dubai now.
yeah.
So tell us a little bit about that. That's a big decision. I see a lot of entrepreneurs and agency owners looking at that. How has that been for you? And how's life in Dubai?
Man, I've just been for 3 weeks. I went for 3 weeks back in January, and honestly, it was well more than enough to sell me on going and live there. It was honestly amazing. So I always say like there's three main reasons why we're moving to Dubai. The first one is for the inspiration, just the motivation. We're talking a bit that before we start rolling the camera, but like just there's a constant dose of motivation as you look out the window. So like if you live in like the marina or like a nice place, and you're and like I'm gonna have a nice apartment there, so I'm gonna be able to see the beach and the cars, and like oh my god, like these people are balling. Like I remember when I was there back in January, it was like 8 a.m. on a Tuesday morning, and I see like 670-foot yacht with like a guy tanning himself on the yacht. I'm like, the fuck is this dude? Like, how is he there at 8 a.m. on a Tuesday morning, and I need to be there like building my business? Why is he not doing that? So it puts you like such bigger perspective that you never knew you could have. So that's an amazing aspect of it. The second is obviously networking, right? The people there, like you can just meet, like you're a small fish there. Like right now, maybe where we are, we make a good amount of money, especially where I live in South America right now. So like I make crazy amount of money for them, and it's funny, it's fun. But at a certain point, it's nice to be in a place where you're so small, right? Where it changed your perspective there. So that's amazing. Very excited to meet new people there and throw events and stuff like that. And the last part of it is obviously taxes, right? So I think you're at a huge disadvantage against someone that is in Dubai if you're in Canada or the US. So if we're both making $1 million profit, right, at the end of the year, and you're in Canada and I'm in Dubai, and you have to spend $300 to the government, and that $300 I can reinvest it in my business or get like a freaking killer A player in my team, right, to join me, and I get one A player like that every single year, and you have to give that to the government for a place that you probably don't even live, right? Because we live abroad since we have online business. Like it's such an advantage, a key advantage, just the mind space that it gives you to not worry about that, right? 0%. You don't have to do any calculation. You know what the check is going to be at the end, $0, right? So these are the main reasons I'm so excited moving in 1 month actually with my girlfriend. Going to stay there for at least 6 months of part of the year. And yeah, very excited for you to join us as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's especially the story you told me, and the stories you guys told me, and the videos you were taking, but how much it inspires you,
Oh
and
yeah,
that's what I think we all need. It's raising our standards, and it's a story like the guy on the yacht, and it's the other stories like seeing the Rolls Royce going down the street and that kind of stuff with the
yeah,
tiger in it, right?
yeah.
It's these kinds of stories that help us raise our standards and be like, okay, wow, there's another level to life that I hadn't even been considering.
Oh yeah, it's crazy.
So when it comes to Dubai, you moved personally there. You have to move some of your team members. You have to move some resources. How did that transition go? And I know like Pavel has been speaking about, how trips affect you when you have a digital business and that kind of stuff. Did that affect your workflow? And was that a complicated move, or was it pretty simple?
Um, I think it forces you to level up in terms of team members. So in terms of like your workflow. Okay, so right now, for example, Pavel, he's still taking we're growing the sales team right now. So we got about 2 people on the sales team, but he still has to train them and take calls, right? So now we just invested actually in a sales training so that we can build the sales team and have like 2 3 people more so that Pavel doesn't have to do the day to day. So it forces you to get out of the day to day. Fortunately, in my role, I'm able to get out at least half of the day from the day to day. So it's going to be perfect for me. I'm going to wake up in the morning, do all my stuff, no distractions. And from 5 p.m. to like 9 p.m., which is like 8 to 12 Eastern time, I'm going to be able to do all my meetings, my team stuff and stuff like that. But I don't have to work past 9 if I want, right? But Pavel, yes. So right now we're like against the clock. We have 1 month to actually find a head of sales, right? I can take care of that and doesn't have to make Pavel take all the calls. So I think it forces you to get to the next level with your team, right? So that's going to be very nice in terms of like just complications. I don't think there's not much complications. Like you don't have to bring, for example, for us, we don't have employees. Like we all treat them like employees, but technically on paper they are contractors, right? So we pay them as contractors. They can, if they want later on, they can come join us in Dubai, be 0% tax free as well. So that's something that we're gonna probably see. But the only thing is it's kind of far from Canada, right? So that's going to be. But we only have to spend 3 months minimum, right? I'm going to spend six because I just love it there, and I don't know where I'm going to spend the other 6 months. But I think there's a lot more advantages than disadvantages. 100%.
That's what I see from everyone who's taking selfies over there and showing their
Yeah,
life, and they're very happy. Everyone seems very happy over there.
yeah,
Tell us a bit more because you're diving into how you transition from VAs as well to like these
yeah.
higher player team members. Um, how did that come about, and how do you now see building a team and building a world class team? Like, how does
Yeah.
that look like for you for recruiting and all the divisions?
Yeah, I think that was my biggest revelation. I mean, I posted it on my Instagram. Like that was literally the biggest revelation of 2023, the impact of building A-player guys, right? And I think one big thing that I realized from Laila, I watched a lot of Laila or Muzi because she's kind of like my role in the business. Pavel is more like Alex. So, and she say like, when you're a six-figure entrepreneur, you can only attract five-figure people to work for you, right? When you're a five-figure entrepreneur, you can only attract four. You can only attract the figure below you, right? So now we're at the current seven-figure stage, right? So we can attract six-figure people. So of course we're getting better. So I see hiring a whole other way right now. Like we started to implement values right now. Like that's the first. Like we do 3 rounds interview, right? So the first round is only values. If it's not a culture fit, then they're out, even if they're perfect skill set. So before, if we didn't have that meeting, just because that person was good on paper, we would already take them and lose a lot of money by training them for a month and 2 months and figuring out that they're a piece of shit and they can just not stay with us, you know. So installing values and repeating them to your team like every single day, having like a formal all team meeting every single month to start the month with slides that I prepare. I take my time to do, prepare what's on the menu for the month, have everyone on the same vision, on the same line, um, paying your employees good as well, performance based, which is good for you, good for them. They can make more money. They can make more money to the business. Everyone's happy. So there's a lot of things that came into the play that like, okay, now hiring is a whole different ball game, and it's so important to have that vision also bigger than yourself in order to attract those six-figure employees or even seven-figure employees inside your business to let go of what they have currently. Like one of the guy that we hired for as a client success manager, he had an agency, right? So, but he just saw he was tired of being a solopreneur and not having anyone. He didn't really have a vision. So now I sold him on our vision. It's a vision bigger than ourselves. So I'm like, damn, I want to join that. I want to join the team. And now he's our probably the best employee we have right now, right? So super happy, super committed, which has been a big game changer. So having clear core values and a solid hiring process.
Yeah. When you shared, especially your core values, you shared a landing page about that. I was really inspired too, especially reading that and the requirements you have, and you're very clear about that. And I think that a lot of business owners, especially at the beginning, you hire $4 an hour VAs, and, it's just like, okay, let's get to work. But then you don't have that bandwidth, and you need to kind of micromanage everything, and you're not working in strategy, where you're working in micromanagement. So
Yeah.
would you say that like that has been one of your key insights in all your scaling that you're going to keep applying is hiring is people?
Oh yeah, 100%. Like one thing that Lila says is that she runs their business on values, not on rules, right? And that says a lot by itself. And I've completely applied that and stole that line to all of the people that I hire. Like here at Fondaco, we don't manage on rules. We're not going to give you a playbook to say like get on time on meetings, right? Or if a client answer, you got 24 hours, you got 30 minutes to answer to him in terms of customer service, or like make sure to finish everything you need to do in the day before 4 p.m. Right? Instead, we can have one core value that says all of that. So speed, for example, us it's speed and execution, right? So, and whenever you're coming you're going to do something and you don't know, or you don't know what you should do, right? You look, okay, speed and execution. Of course, I'm going to be there on time, right? Of course, I'm going to answer to the client quick. One of others is the client obsession. Of course, you're going to try to do whatever it takes to make the client happy because that's our core value, right? So my job as a CEO is to remind all of the time these core values, and also shout out the people that actually embody those core values. Like at least once a week, I made it a mission of me to in the Slack channel to say, all right, look, so Reggie, today I really love how you really like you made a mistake, but you showed a lot of extreme ownership, which is one of our core values. Like you didn't blame me for not giving you the rights, but you didn't blame the client, you blame yourself, right? And I really appreciate that, right? And in front of everybody. So shouting out for those and people, it just comes natural out then. Like even I was so surprised, like 2 weeks in, one of my employees, I come on a meeting with him and he shows me his wallpaper and it's our core values. So it's like our all of our core values with our logo. Yeah, when I wake up, I always look at the core value to get ready for it. I'm like, damn, this shit is working. Like you can positively influence humans to do what you want to do without forcing them to actually do it. 'Cause people don't like to be forced something; they want to do it on their own. So you got to make it feel like it's there, and that's what best for them, you know. So that's the best thing that I did for sure.
Wow. I love how you put really the emphasis on that, and I didn't know how important you considered it compared to rules, especially. Like a lot of people, they're sometimes going to be putting rules and trying to give a SOP guidebook and force people
Yeah.
into.
And I was like that. I was like that before. Like when we were doing the paper lead agency and we were hiring those VAs, we were wondering why they were trash, right? Because we were giving them rules. And when they try to go outside the rules, like, no, you gotta do it like that, right? That's how it is. But now it's just when you change that mindset, like you're gonna see the impact of it. It's just mind blowing, yeah.
Absolutely. And Joey, I want to ask, especially for the audience, as we're closing up, is there something like a piece of advice that you would give to people who are are looking to scale. Maybe they're at 10, 20, 30K a month, 50K. They want to get to the next level and then to the next level after that. What should they really focus on?
That's a good question. I think what's going to guide you is, first of all, have a clear vision and a clear mission. Like, really write it down with one niche, one industry. Okay, say what you're going to accomplish, why you're helping those people, because this is going to help you guide everything else. If you don't have a clear why, first of all, you're not gonna how do you say, attract people to go into your why, right? If you have no why, like if we wouldn't have the vision we have, we couldn't have the people that we have working for us. That's the first thing. Have a big why. And I think when you reach that 10, 20, 30K per month, you're by your own, right? You can do it by yourself. But in order to get to the next level, you got to realize that it's more than just by yourself. You're not going to go 6 to 7 figure by yourself. You're going to need at least a small team, right? And now 7 and 8 figure, it's an even more about your team. It's more about your team than it's about you. So focus on your why, focus on your big vision, and write it down, and then dissect what are the actions to actually take to reach that vision. So what's your 10-year vision, your 5-year vision, 2 year, 6 months, right? And then put the actions in order to reach that, and make sure that every day you're committed to actually embody that vision. Put core values for yourself at first. If you're the only person on your team, like, have yourself accountable to those values, right? So be your own employee, be your best employee. And that's how you're going to be able to build that culture slowly and slowly. And next day, you're going to wake up and you're going to have a lot of people working for you and joining for you and asking to be with you, because that's what this big vision attracts, right?
Amazing, Joey. I want to thank you a lot for your time. You're an amazing entrepreneur. I'm looking forward to seeing you continue to scale and have a greater impact. And I know that you and Pavel, you guys are driven to have to make a dent in the universe of especially in the financial space. So I'm looking forward to seeing all the progress on your side.
Yes, sir. Same for me as well for you, Robert. Man, really excited to see you as well grow. And thank you for having me. I think we're going to do that again, probably in Dubai.
It'd be my pleasure.
All right. Thank you, Rob, man.